Well, Valtteri, congratulations. You finished your first Grand Prix. I'm sure from your point of view it feels like, well, that was a little bit of a letdown, but I want to talk to you a little bit in detail about that. But first of all, just here we are in Malaysia. How do you feel?
Well, feel good. It was really nice to have the first Grand Prix without any big problems. Of course, we have some issues with the car and we were not where we wanted. But I mean, yeah, it was a nice feeling to finish the first race, and good to be back here soon again on the track.
A little bit of a strange one, because you did a lot of mileage last year, so it's not as if Formula One is new to you, but can I just take you back to, I don't know, maybe a few key moments when you got on the flight, perhaps to fly to Australia? It would have felt a little bit different.
Yeah, for sure. It was well, special weekend for me. Something, even last year I was there in every Grand Prix, but when you know that now you're actually going to drive on Sunday, and yeah, it was a different feeling, and definitely a bit more excited than any times before. So.
Well, you and other drivers use that word excited a lot, and obviously it is exciting, but there's also a sense of responsibility too that comes, and we all say, you know, isn't it wonderful, the teams, 200, 300 people, whatever it is, but there's a lot of guys out there resting on your shoulders now.
Yeah, there is, and yeah, I know that there's big responsibility, because at Williams there's more than 500 people in total working just to get the two cars on the track, and then you have the two drivers who in the end do the job. So, but just the support what I've got from Williams has been so good and so nice, and I don't feel any extra pressure because of that, and we're really working just as a team, and I feel that everyone in our team is as important as anyone. So.
And I guess Friday, from your point of view, was kind of like business as normal. You've done plenty of those.
Yeah.
But it changed maybe in FP2, and all of a sudden, magically, the performance of the car went away as well. You must have thought, what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, for sure, everyone in our team was expecting more, and we could already see on Friday that we are struggling. And
but you looked okay on FP1 in terms of the timesheets. But I don't know, what did the car feel like early out on Friday?
Well, didn't feel as good as in testing, so that's why we were a bit surprised. And yeah, we could definitely see a little bit where we were going to be even after FP1.
And what was that? Was just a general lack of grip, or did you feel an imbalance in the car that had never been there?
Yeah, that's correct. It was the main thing was just lack of grip, cornering grip, and by that way we were also not working the tires really well. We were not putting enough energy in the tires, so the car there was no one big balance problem. It was just basically lack of grip, and that boosts all the problems in the car.
But when you're in FP1, where do you draw the line between saying, well, the track's green, it's slippery, it's a semi-road course, and actually establishing that you've got a problem? Did you know by the end of FP1 that you had a real problem?
Well, looking at the times a little bit, yeah, because I knew how much there is in reserve, and I saw the lap times of some other cars, and yeah, you could say that it's going to be tough.
And then FP2 underlined all that. So that was a frustrating afternoon, really. And how much were you playing around with setup in that session?
A lot. We were working really hard to try to understand what are the problems, and we were doing a lot of changes, and we were planning a big setup change for the FP3, but unfortunately it became wet, so we didn't really manage to try the car in the dry.
When you say big, of course what we have seen in the testing is that you've run two distinct shape of side pods, if you like, and it appeared that when you went to the upgrade, if that's the right word, things had really picked up. You got a lot of additional grip on fast corners. Is that, when you were saying a big setup change, is that what you were looking at, actually a side pod revision for Saturday?
No, it was other things in the car setup. Yeah. And
anyway, Saturday came along, and it was a weird day for you as well.
Yeah, very difficult first qualifying, and I think also for my race engineer was not the ideal condition. It's really difficult for everyone.
And Jonathan's first race as a race engineer with you, obviously, and in those conditions, I guess the thing is, I just cannot leave the road. I've got to keep this thing on the island.
Yeah, that's always important, especially in the qualifying in the beginning, just to get the lap on the board. And the time was quite limited, the condition was changing, so actually on Saturday in qualifying it came quite good to us. We did what was necessary at that day, so we got through to Q2.
Well, when Jensen went out on the intermediates for the first time in Q1, you at that point, I think, were in the pit lane changing as well. But there are only about 4 minutes to go.
Yeah.
It was pretty...
I had one lap with the inters, and luckily that was enough to get through. So it was nice and clean lap, but it's really the second lap I felt I was improving a lot. The heat was building up and everyone started to work better, and then there was some yellow flags, so that was only that one lap that mattered really.
So how much of that was Valtteri at say 95%, and how much of it was I can't make a mistake?
Well, I think it's difficult to explain, but there is always just a balance, pushing and not making a mistake, and ideal of course is that you can always push 100% and not making mistakes. But as it was my first qualifying, I needed to be a little bit cautious, especially in the first laps. So there was a bit more in reserve. But,
and as we saw your teammate, how easy it was for him to go off, particularly with the car, I guess is the way it was. As edgy as it was to drive.
It was tough, yeah, especially in the wet conditions. We were really struggling quite a bit, and the car was not so easy to drive. And I think for us and for me, it was, instead of just driving against teammate, it was mainly driving against the weather, because sometimes it was difficult to keep the car on the track.
And in that sense, just pressing pause in some ways, walking up to your end of the pit lane and looking at your garage area, it was kind of free of people. It looked relatively calm, and I mean, if you'd been driving for McLaren, for example, making your debut in Melbourne, it would have been a different story altogether. So in that sense, you were able to live in your own world, if you like, and work with your own guys who you knew well.
Yeah, it was actually, that's something what I saw, that we work really well to keep the peace to the driver, because the whole weekend I could really focus really well on the driving and nothing else. So it was quite nice and quiet, and really there was no distraction or anything. So
how was it going to bed Friday night, knowing you had 2 more qualifying sessions to come and you were going into Q2?
Well, I was just looking forward for the next day, and it was a good feeling to wake up on Sunday and know that today is the Q2, just another chance of opportunities, and then it's the race.
Did you feel like a Grand Prix driver in terms of walking in, autograph signing, a lot more attention than you've ever had before in your life, I would guess?
Well, I don't really feel any different. Of course, you know that you're driving it as a race driver, but it's just all the things what has came with it, a lot of autographs and stuff. It's been all positive so far. I mean, I've only heard good things from the fans, and everyone's just giving a lot of support.
So let's talk about Q2. You weren't really planning, of course, to make it through to Q3. I wouldn't have thought the way the car was going. But what sort of lap did you get in Q2?
Well, of course we were aiming. Of course you want to get through, and in those conditions you never know what's gonna happen. So yeah, we started with intermediate tires, and not a great lap. I think everything was again building up. The track was getting better and better, and then got a call to come to the pits to pit for the super softs, and it was a bit of a gamble, because I think maybe one more lap in the end and it could have been faster than the inters, but by playing safe, staying with inters, we could have possibly get quite close to top 10, but not sure if we've gone through. But it was a gamble, and unfortunately this time it just didn't really work.
So then the race, and it was pretty clear that if it was a dry race from where you were, you had the choice either of starting on the super softs or finishing on the super softs, I would guess. So how did you weigh those options up on what you were going to start?
Yeah, we chose to start with the option, and then we tried to do 2 long runs with the prime tire. So actually we were just planning to stop, but we saw in the option run that with high fuel we were just sliding the car a lot and destroying the tires, so we needed to go back to 3-stop, and yeah, that was in the end the way to go with our car. It was just a bit too much scrapping the tires, and
the implication is that if you'd started on the medium, maybe you could have done a 2-stop and then effectively, and then a sort of splash and go on the
possibly,
super
but
soft.
difficult to say how the tires would have behaved, because it always, when you have that extra fuel in the first stint, it's just puts so much more stress on the tires, and you slide a little bit more, and it's easy to grain the tire.
I was watching you get into the car in the garage to go out onto the grid, and again, amazingly calm and relaxed. It looked like a test session in Barcelona almost. What was it like inside the helmet?
Well, I was very confident and not like really nervous at all. Just really looking forward for the race, and yeah, all calm and no problems.
And you made a good start.
Yeah, it was okay. First lap was good. Made some positions and kept the nose clean. The first corner was really tight. Actually, there was some. I think we nearly touched with some cars, but that's just how it is in Melbourne always, I guess.
Did you go into the race thinking I'm going to brake early into the first corner, come what may, and just stay out of trouble, or did you just play it by ear?
Well, I had in my mind all the time that it will be important to stay out of trouble because it's still the first race and it's a long race and anything can happen. So.
And did Hulkenberg not starting help you at all in terms of where you were on the grid? Did that free things up in terms of space?
Not sure. I think, of course, we gained one position, but in the end, it was still everything was really packed in the first corner.
Yeah, and I've got your race lap times here, Valtteri. It appears if you had some slight glitch relatively early on in lap times. Tell us about that.
I think
you did a 38 on lap 4.
Yeah, lap 4. Yeah, that was my own mistake. I was defending position for turn 1.
And who was that with?
I think I had maybe Verne or Gutierrez behind me.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I was DRS. The DRS was enabled, and I was also full curse. So yeah, maybe you could say the rookie mistake. I just arrived so much quicker to the turn 1 than any laps before, so locked up the front wheels and went a bit wide. So that was really the only mistake of the race from my side.
And just to finish that point, at no time of the weekend, I guess, would you ever have run in with the car like that, with full KERS and DRS enabled? Or would you have done that on Friday?
Not with high fuel, no.
No, not with high fuel?
Yeah.
So you got to the braking area and you were...
Yeah, that was a bit too late. So.
And did you go onto the grass then? Or?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Bit of rallying. So.
What did you say to yourself?
Well, of course, it's not ideal. But then, you know, the race is long. You just need to forget that mistake and know that next time if you have full KERS, DRS, brake a few meters earlier.
And the next little bit, run down to turn 3, you're feeling if the car's been damaged in any way, I guess, or were you sure that it was all okay?
Yeah, because there was no bumps or anything. It was just a bit of on the grass, and I knew it was okay. So.
And then the race itself, you're constantly adapting to the lighter fuel load, obviously the tyre degradation as it's coming in. Tell us about the race. Under the heading of, it's more difficult to drive a difficult car than it is a great car.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with the tires in this race. We are struggling quite a bit, and always when I tried to push more, I could really feel that we were losing the grip, losing the tire. So we needed to manage all the time, and especially in some of the racing situations we had, it was difficult to defend and difficult to try to attack, because you knew that once you're going to push 1 or 2 laps, you're going to struggle in the end of that stint.
So you're constantly holding yourself back, in effect?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
And what was it like when the leaders started to approach and you were getting radio messages about that? How much room did you give them, and how much did that take the rhythm away?
For sure it disturbs. It's not ideal. You also always lose some lap time when you need to get the cars past you, so it's not nice, and obviously we would prefer to have a car what at least stays on the same lap with the leaders, because that's what we want to challenge them, not just to try to get away from them.
You said many times we've chatted, and you said that Finns in general don't talk very much, and if you haven't got anything to say, you normally don't say it. But how much radio transmission was going on during the race between you and, I presume, Jonathan?
Yeah, well, Jonathan gave quite a bit of information for me, but I don't need to always reply. I just, yeah, so basically if I don't say anything, they know all is good. And they were asking some tire info at some point, and then I gave some feedback.
And does it annoy you if Jonathan or the radio comes in at the wrong moment, or are you impervious to that?
Well, we always try to plan to some certain corners where we use the radio, so you kind of expect it, and we always plan a corner that has a long straight after, so you have time to process and time to reply.
Carl Gaden and the boys seem to do a good job with the pit stops.
Yeah, pit stop went well. I think from my side also, no any surprises. Quite clean and really good job from the mechanics in the pit stops.
And again, one could say, as a rookie, perhaps that's one of the sensitive areas. But I guess you've done quite a lot of that by the time the race started.
In wind testing, we did quite a bit of OS. Nearly after every run, we did like stop in the box and just practicing. Because you need to be really precise where you stop, and there's also quite a bit of lap time you can lose or win in a pit stop.
I think you got a. Did you get a speeding fine?
Yeah.
When was the speeding fine?
FP1. Yeah, that was.
What happened there?
My mistake. I thought my speed limiter was on, but it wasn't. So I saw it quite quickly that we're going a bit too quick, and got a bit of fine there. So
how
lost
much?
My salary of the year.
Well, how much was that? Now we'll know.
I think it was 2,800 euros.
And you have to pay that yourself?
Yeah.
Valtteri. And as the race wore on, how did you feel physically and mentally?
It was a long race, definitely. Something never experienced before, especially when you have the adrenaline and you're really focusing, trying to do your best. It takes a lot of energy, especially mentally. So.
And particularly in a difficult car and difficult conditions, as we're saying.
Yeah. So. Not easy, but I didn't have any issues.
Well, your last phase of the race looked very consistent. I mean, taking into account, I presume, quick cars coming past or whatever, but you seem to be right there in terms of where you were. And your fastest lap, actually on that last stint, was very good, wasn't it? 30.6, it says here, 30.8, yeah.
Yeah, our last stint was not that long, so, and there was quite a bit of gap behind and front of me, so in the beginning of the stint I could really manage the tire quite well, and then in the end of the stint, when I saw that there was less laps to go, then I just tried to push and get everything out of the tire. So I think the last stint was not too bad, and it's so much easier for the tires as well when you have less fuel in the car.
Well, if you put your fastest lap alongside some others in the race, it actually looks quite impressive. But I don't know whether we should read anything into that. I mean, what are your conclusions on that?
I think it's always difficult. You don't know the strategy, position. Then I mean, the situation, if someone is blocked behind someone, you just cannot do the lap time. So.
Yeah, a 30.6 though puts you quicker than Paul di Resta, 30.8, quicker than Gutierrez in the Sauber, 31.4. It puts you about with Romain Grosjean in the Lotus F1. So that, in that sense, you must feel that's not too bad.
Yeah, on the paper, but I think still the fact is we didn't have as quick car as Sauber or Force India or definitely Lotus. So I think the lap time was mainly because of difference in strategy.
How did you feel as the checkered flag came out, and how was Jonathan, and how was the team?
Well, everyone said good job. First of all, finishing the race, and I think the job that I did, everyone was quite positive, and just.
But how did you feel inside?
Yeah,
good.
Just that one mistake was. I do remember that, but it's something I just need to learn from it, and I'm sure I won't make that kind of mistake again. So.
Did you get to pass anybody else in the race once that mistake had occurred in a clean pass?
I think at least lap 1 I passed Verne or Ricciardo into turn 13 in the inside, and then had some battling with Maldonado. I think one time I defended, and also Gutierrez tried to overtake me once, and was a bit of fighting, but never really could catch someone and attack. We were just a little bit too much behind.
Speaking of Gutierrez, he was pretty quick when it started to rain in practice, and then had that quite big shunt. Did you see that shunt when you were running as well? Did you see that on TV? Or and was that a warning bell?
As a replay, I watched some videos after the qualifying. Yeah.
At the time, in the garage, when you were in the car?
Yeah, I think I was sitting in the car and they were playing it. Yeah, I saw it there.
Because that was quite impressive, and as you in your situation, I guess you might have thought, yeah, wow, you know.
Yeah, I think that's something what can happen to everyone.
Yeah.
That AstroTurf exit in that corner, if you hit it in the wet, it's really difficult to catch it anymore. So I had some big moments as well, and maybe sometimes I was a bit lucky also to get away with those. But it was tricky condition for everyone.
How did you handle that bit of road where it was painted over? It was black painted over the white, I think turn 12, where it was so slippery in the wet. What was the car doing there when you...
Well, it was quite snappy and it was tricky. But, you know, once you do the first outlap and you feel all the lines, feel the grip, then you just know it's coming. You know, every lap at that point the car is gonna slide. So you just need to do what you need to do for that. Put the car a bit more straight, or you know.
So that was that, and you could wake up Monday morning, first Grand Prix behind you. Nothing brilliant from the team's point of view, but from your point of view, a very good job, a job well done.
Yeah, I think I can be quite satisfied. First Grand Prix, for me, no big surprises. Everything went quite smoothly. So from my side, it was okay. But yeah, as a team, we really need to do better, and everyone was quite disappointed because we were expecting so much more. We were expecting to fight for the points, and we were quite far away. So now it's new weekend. Again, we're going to do a lot of things in the car, and I've heard some good things that we found some. Hopefully, found some.
Because by the end of Spain, the Spanish test, you must have felt we were in at least the Force India area, if not a little bit higher.
Yeah, it looked like we were maybe quite close with Sauber, Force India, so somewhere on the edge of top 10, maybe just inside. So
Sepang's a great circuit.
It is. I really like it. Last year was really nice. It's so wide and there's nice fast corners and.
Well, those nice S's, turn 5, 6 around there.
Really nice.
Looking forward to seeing you there.
Good track for Formula 1 cars, definitely.
And then down the hill towards the end of the lap there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Where Perez made that mistake when he could have.
Yeah, he was
won.
catching Alonso.
Yeah. What do you think about Kimi's win?
Nice job. Really impressive. He's. I think he's going to be very strong this year, and he just showed again everyone who he is and how good driver he is. And that package, Kimi Lotus, seems to work very well now. And
you're not saying that just because you're a Finn. You're saying that because you really rate Kimi, and you always have done, right?
Yeah, I always rated Kimi. I think everyone knows how good he is when he's at his best. So, but for sure, he's a Finn and I'm Finn, so maybe a little bit that also.
Did you speak to him at all after the race? Have you spoken to him?
Didn't see him, no.
And did you speak to him much in Australia?
No, just a few words really. I think everyone was quite busy, and I didn't see many drivers out there, to be honest.
Well, you saw Mika Häkkinen.
Yeah, he came to see my first Grand Prix, and it was really nice to have him watching it.
And what did he say? I saw you chatting before Q2 in the garage or in the motorhome area. Does he offer advice? Usually some general. He says always that he doesn't want to advise too much because he knows that I will do well, and he always says that you will be fine, and you're a big boy, you don't need too many advices. Well, that's the best advice you can get in many ways.
Exactly, gives you confidence. So.
Yeah. Well, Terry, thank you so much for your time, and we'll be watching this weekend. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.